Thank you, darling. Okay. So you all feeling revved up by that? Okay, so you can go sit out there if you want, or you can sit there. I'll do the whole talk to you. No. So let me just start with these lyrics, okay? In those tiny moments, first of all, I love the first few lyrics that she has about rinse, repeat, and rinse, lather, and repeat. But I'm not going there. That would be just too typical of me. So, in those tiny moments, we're affecting all we do, creating, agitating until everything is new. So, I would like to look at the word agitating. David seemed agitated, didn't he? David is agitated by a lot that's going on. But what's brilliant about David and what is important and imperative about the way we present ourselves is that I think it's way more powerful to watch someone in their stuff understanding what it's all about, as opposed to someone pontificating up from a perfect platform of, I do this perfectly, this is how you should do it. I really applaud you for showing us your challenge, and then for telling us at the end of it what we're really here to do. So here's the thing, creating, agitating until everything is new. I gotta be honest with you, I am an agitator. Ask my husband. Agitating, the man is agitating. But you've got to be an agitator. What does agitate really mean? Agitate really means stirring things up. If you are not stirring things up in your life, then you're boring. I don't mean you're a boring person, although you might be, I don't know. What I mean is you are bored with life. If you are not finding the things in your life that don't work for you, and if you are not stirring it up, and you are not agitating yourself to a place, and I don't mean getting negative, by the way. Agitation does not have to be negative. I don't think when my clothes are in the washer being agitated that they're in negative states. I, in fact, think they're coming clean. And by the God, that is our theme this year. Coming clean in 17. So really our job is to get into a washing machine and lather, rinse, repeat. And become agitated enough to let some stuff go. Yes? There you go. So that is our job, to agitate. And by the way, Ernest Holmes said this. Ernest Holmes says, it is time for a new science, a new religion, and a new philosophy. That man was an agitator. He was 4'3". He wasn't really. He was like 5'5", though. He was like this tiny little hurricane. He would walk into a room, a terrible public speaker. He literally spoke nasally and very monotonous, but he would walk into a room and just let you have it. He was like the male Emma Curtis Hopkins. He would literally walk into a room and say, nope, it's got to be like this. And sort of like that. And then just agitate the hell out of everyone around him. I've studied his life a lot. And I really think that he and I have a lot in common. The irony here is that I feel that the very thing he said, a new science, a new religion, a new philosophy, he turned it over to all these people who said, okay, good, then we're all good with the way it used to be. Don't anyone change anything. Ernest Holmes said, if you were still studying what I wrote and acting though it's gospel truth 50 years from now, you missed the point. That's who we have to be. I love the Signs of Mind textbook. But is it my Bible? Absolutely not. The things in there that are really good and that really make sense and can keep evolving me, good. The things in there that kind of don't make sense anymore because Ernest was still writing from a very Christian perspective to try to bring I keep traveling over here as though I'm going somewhere. To get this bridge between Christianity and New Thought, he was trying to create the bridge. So he was still very close to this side. He was still on the Hoboken side of New York City. So Ernest was still New Jersey, and New Thought is New York City. I just thought that up. So Ernest Holmes. So here's what Ernest Holmes wrote. He said this. It is true that what we have here, he's talking about his own philosophy, it is true that what we have here is nothing new. We simply have a new approach to an old truth, a more intelligent a more systematic way of consciously arriving at faith. That is what treatment is for. So ultimately, what he's saying is that what Jesus came and taught, that it is done unto you as you believe, the power of your mind, that the Father and I are one, that greater things will we do as life evolves. The very truth that Jesus Christ came to teach got bogged down in religiosity. That's a word, right? Yeah, it is now, in religiosity. It got bogged down in people trying to use what he wrote as a tool to control the people. Well, religious science isn't about controlling the people. In fact, I believe what religious science mainly is about is to give power back to the individual. So the individual realizes that it is that individual's job to live its life, his or her life, fully, freely, unencumbered, and to be willing to let themselves be agitated by all the stuff that needs to be let go of. Y'all get that? So when he says what we have here is nothing new, he says all we have is a new way to get to faith. And what he's saying is that when Jesus said it is done unto you as you believe, the operative word there is believe. It is done unto you as you believe. So if you believe, for instance, going off of David, if you believe that the current president of the United States and that the current government that is ruling our country is taking us down a horrible path, that might not be the best thing to think. That might not be the best way to use my mind, because I don't believe that. I don't, by any stretch of the imagination, believe that. What I believe is that life is unfolding perfectly, and that the current administration, the current politics, the current politicians, all of whom are a mixed bag of Republicans, Democrats, independents, and then people that are just pretending to be one or the other. I get all that. All of that coming together is still the evolution of our world. And yes, the voices that rise up, the things that are being said, the people that are saying, no, I stand for this, I want this, that's just democracy, folks, and that's good. But it's done unto you as you believe. And Ernest Holmes gave us a very long book, a very big book, to explain to us how to use our minds. Because he says the only thing important is, how are you going to use your mind? How are you going to deepen your faith? How are you going to believe what you need to believe? How are you going to arrive at what you should believe? How are you going to use your mind to know what you should be using your mind on? Many people are using their minds in ways that is not bringing them what they want, but they're still using their minds that way. So, a new philosophy, a new religion, a new way of life. The title of my talk tonight is this: How to Unlock a Fixed Mind. How to unlock a fixed mind. How many of you here tonight have ever experienced your mind being fixed? Your mind being locked on something, as though what you believe is the absolute truth, and there's no way anything else could be the truth. You've actually set me up beautifully, David. There's no way that the current administration could possibly do anything good for our country, right? That's not true. There's just no way. We just have a very fixed mind. So how do you unlock a fixed mind? Well, I wasn't planning on sharing this, but I had a real experience today that really shifted me. I have my own beliefs about many things. I have some very strong beliefs about gun control. And my son has different beliefs about gun control, as Karen Frost is shaking her head because she knows, because the teens meet and they talk about it. So he has different beliefs with me about gun control. And today, I realized that my mind was uncontrollably fixed on what I believed, and that how is it possible that something that came from me, as though Isaac gave birth to it, something that came from me could possibly believe differently. And even as I listened to him telling me, getting his point, trying to get his point across this very fixed head, I didn't hear it. I wouldn't hear it. I refused to hear it. And it all started because he came home from the gun range, the rifle range, having done rifle practice, and he hung on the wall the thing that he was shooting at, which was a picture of an outline of a person, and he had great marks, and he put it on his wall, and I was like, get that off my wall. I was like, I don't want to look at that. That's like horrible. He says, no, don't you see how well I did? I said, get it off my I went, I was agitated. And I was certainly agitating him in a big way. So we had our moment. Nora disappeared into her room. We had our moment, and then he left. He took the dogs for a hike, he and she. And I'm walking around the house, and I'm very agitated. And I'm like, I am the worst parent in history. This is awful. I've just failed at parenthood. I've pissed him off. I point across that he's wrong. And then I got it. And I literally had tears in my eyes. I was like, wow, you're about to go in a few hours and give this talk on how to unlock a fixed mind. Yeah, go tell everybody how to do it. Don't do it, but tell everybody how to do it. Yeah. So I walked into his room and I hung it back up on the wall myself. And then I felt good. I was like, you are so evolved. Good. And back to my computer, and I was doing my thing, and I heard him come home, and I'm expecting like a skip down the hall saying, Dad, you are so evolved, thank you. Nothing. So I walked back up, and I thought, well, maybe he needs I have to engage him and apologize again. So I walk he's here today. Please don't bring this up to him. He's going to know you told. He's fine. As I walk into his bedroom, and it's not on the wall. I was like, well, I put that up. He said, I took it down. He said, out of respect for you. I was like, I cannot win here. He said, after walking the dogs, I saw your point. He said, I get it. That's how you feel. Why would I put this up in your house, in our house, where you have to look at it and it upsets you? And I said, oh, great. You want to do my talk tonight? and we had this hug, and it was beautiful. Two people, very strong points of view, opened up their minds, unfixed it. So it's very easy to explain to you how do you unlock a fixed mind. One word, love. Love only. Forgive everything, even the rifle club. And remember who you are. Because as soon as you're willing to just come from love, you may actually see the other person's point of view. As soon as you are willing to come from love, you might actually see that our country is always going to be safe. Our country will always be evolving to its highest and best. When you get caught up in the mundanities of a fixed mind, when you get caught up in the relevant and attach yourself to one as though that's how it has to be, now you're screwed. That's a spiritual word. You are, because now you are not in and here's the thing, how do you unlock the mind that is already pure potential? The minute you lock it up, your mind's no longer pure potential. Now your mind is stuck in this. You're stuck in thinking that someone else should have won the presidency, and now you got to spend 4 years with that stuckness. I have to look at President Hillary Clinton every single day, Madam President, on my coffee maker. Because Kevin has Madam President, a big picture of Hillary, on our coffee maker, and he said it's never coming down. Never. And so, but we're not fixed there. We are not stuck there because we get it. We get it. We get where we are. So how do you unstuck? How do you unlock a fixed mind? You must be willing to remember who you are and come from this place of understanding that you are pure potential. You're not connected to, you are not locked into anything as being absolutely true. Simply put, Ernest Holmes said this. He said, new thoughts create new conditions. New thoughts create new conditions. You want to see your life stay right where it is? Just keep thinking the same thoughts. Just keep believing the same things. You want something new? Then you'll have the opportunity to do that, all for yourself. And here's the thing. We're never creating the new. And this is my wrap-up of this whole month. We think we're creating new things. We're not. The universe is evolving brilliantly, perfectly. And it is always evolving into the new. Every single moment is a new moment. So we never create new. We either keep up with it or we don't. That's our job, keeping up with it. And every time I hear people talk about we're being dragged backwards, impossible. We are not being dragged backwards. It just so happens that some of the things back there make sense. And if we paid attention to them today and perhaps ignored them before, we might actually understand what was said the first time. It is done unto you as you believe. So I'm not dragging Jesus into this century. I'm not. I'm just actually giving that truth another chance to be continuing moving me forward. So, as many of you know, I have been working with Westlake Village for creating a new experience in Westlake Village while I create a new experience at Global Truth Center, and hopefully someday bringing it all together into this one new idea. Well, what I really understand is that I'm not doing anything. The ideas come and they take me where they take me. So from a simple little sentence back in November of, could you see yourself here, that Linda Rojo said to me in Westlake in November, could you see yourself here? My fixed mind said no. So quickly. Remember, Barbara? It was just like I said, no, oh no, can't see it. From that moment, and then unlocking my mind so quickly to say, well, let's think about this. What could that look like? Today was their annual meeting. Today they voted, and 93% of the congregation voted me in as their new spiritual director. So as of this day, as of this afternoon, as of right now, I am the spiritual director of the Global Truth Center and Westlake Village CSL, which means that we're actually doing this thing called Global Truth Center. We're actually doing this thing of expanding and not just getting caught in some room all by ourselves saying, here's who we are. No, it's why I love all of you online and many of you who are watching online tonight. And I know Alan Marcy stayed home to watch the Oscars, and they're watching online. I just want to say to all of you out there as well, to everybody in here, this teaching needs to be let out. It needs to be let out of its box. It needs to stop being boxed in, as though we have this thing, this is the best thing ever, here we are, and we're religious scientists. No, the best thing ever happens to be what Jesus said, who was not a religious scientist. And by the way, what Jesus said happens to be what Aristotle said, who was not Jewish, to my knowledge. So these truths are ancient wisdom truths. These truths have been time and all eternity. But it's time to actually stop keeping them in a box and start living them. And that's what David just showed you. He just showed you a man in the midst of an agitated Q&A in his own head. How will he get out of that? Because he's in class every single week. He is studying the science of mind to make sure that it is his third language. And that he can speak it in a way that he can always talk himself back to the truth. That's who we are. That's who we must be. So, again, we're not creating anything new, but we are literally allowing ourselves to evolve as new continues to grow. So that's my question to you tonight. Are you ready to let that thing in you that is God, that is the life force, that is all the good there is in the universe, pure potentiality, are you ready to let that thing in you take you to new places? Are you ready to use your mind in a way that you will now create different experiences, not the same old, same old? Are you ready to let something that you are, the brilliance that you are, the talent that you are, the ideas that you have, the places you want to go, the people you want to meet, the experiences you want to have, are you willing to honor them as sacred? Are you willing to honor them as the truth coming through you? And literally jump on them and ride them into the sunset, yes? Then that's what we're here to do. Namaste.